What's up, everybody? Welcome back to K9 Party Your Friends. Thank you for joining me once again. We have an exciting one this week here. If you didn't happen to catch it, they finally released the teaser trailer for the new Spider-Man MCU installment called No Way Home, and it's got a few fun surprises there. So if you didn't get a chance to watch it before you listen to the rest of this episode, please, by all means, go and watch the teaser trailer. It's pretty exciting, and it goes along with the same usual Spider-Man theme about him struggling with obviously his personal life and his loved ones and his life as Spider-Man. So stick around after this. It's going to be a fun episode. So yeah, here we go. Hey everyone, K9 here. So you're probably wondering how I'm able to make these podcasts so easily. Well, with Anchor. It's an app right on my phone, and it's the easiest way to make any podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need with all the tools to allow you to record and edit your podcast so they sound unique and professional. The best part is, it's all free. Once you're done, they'll distribute your podcast for you among the biggest streaming networks such as Spotify, Google, and iTunes, and many others. And you can even make a little cash with no minimum listenership. Just download Anchor from the App Store or go to anchor.fm to get started. Have fun and thanks for listening. Now back to the show. Okay, so welcome back here. So if you didn't have a chance to watch it, hopefully you took the time, you paused this podcast real quick to go and watch it. It's only a few minutes, but it is really exciting, and it takes us all the way back to the Sam Raimi films. And finally, if you've ever followed the comic books or even some of the other movies or even some of the other installments, kind of the side projects coming through, there's Spider-Man has a lot to do with the multiverse, and what the multiverse is explained a lot in the MCU or the Marvel comic universe, Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm sorry, and they explain the idea of the multiverse very vaguely with the time stones. When you have Bruce Banner talking to the one, and they're explaining how the stones and how the timelines change around. Very loosely, that kind of explains how the Spider-Man multiverse also happens. A lot of it comes down to the butterfly effect. But that being said, we're now working on what is this? Like the fourth installment to the Tom Holland series. Maybe the third. I want to say maybe the third or fourth separate movie. Obviously, he's been in the Avengers films, and obviously he was in Civil War and things like that. Tom Holland has definitely been mine and a lot of other people's favorite Spider-Man, but that doesn't excuse the fact that the multiverse within the Spider-Man universe is still there. And what's exciting about that is it brings in the idea that technically, according to the story and everything like that, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and even Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man still exist within Tom Holland's Spider-Man's universe, within the multiverse. Now, there's been some rumors about this going on for the longest while. There's been some excitement, people trying to talk and say, hey, we need to make the multiverse a thing and bring Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire into a Tom Holland Spider-Man film, and bring the multiverse, the Spider-Man multiverse, into the MCU. Now, there's obviously rumors all around. You can see things. You can see things like on Screen Rant, Newsweek, and a couple other things right here. They talk about the. Some people say that Tobey Maguire is confirmed for the new to be make an appearance in the No Way Home, at least by a quick little a small little cameo. Whether he has a large role or not is a whole different story. But one thing that does pop out when it comes to the multiverse, they have a quick spot. They don't actually show the Green Goblin, but they show one of his gas bombs falling there, and you hear his laugh. Whether that Green Goblin is going to be James Franco, which because of his recent scandals and stuff, probably won't be the James Franco one, but it'd be cool. I mean, the laugh almost sounded reminiscent of Willem Dafoe in Willem's Green Goblin, so that'd be kind of cool to think that Willem Dafoe might even make a cameo in the new one to for the multiverse, that the Green Goblin's going to come in, and with any luck, they didn't change his costume around, at least not too much. They still have to make it kind of exciting and reminiscent to the current universe, Spider-Man's universe. Obviously, Happy makes a cameo; he's always going to be there. But what really gave me chills and made my hair stand up in excitement was they had actually brought Alfred Molina back to play Doc Ock. And when I first heard about it, I was excited. Obviously, I'm thinking, oh, well, that's cool. I mean, I thought he did great when he first played Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi films. But at the same time, as I read further into it and the interviews that Alfred was doing with these reporters, he'd asked the director, like, okay, but my character died at the end of the, he drowned in the river, in the bay at the end of Spider-Man 2. How are we going to bring him back? And of course the director replied saying that, well, no one really ever dies in this universe. As you can tell, like, how many times has Loki been killed off, And they kind of did with the current MCU and these superheroes and what they are now. They did the same thing that they did with the new Star Trek films. And what that is basically, if you set it in a different universe, you can do whatever you want. So as much as I love the new Star Trek films, as amazing as they turned out, and I know not a lot of people really care for them, at least within talking people to prefer the original series more. I love the new Star Trek films, and I think they did a great job on them. And I think it was kind of a cheesy way of going about it, but they definitely took the idea that this is all in a different universe, or obviously a different existence, so they can use the same characters, they can use the same controversies and conflicts, and put a little twist on them, and help them kind of cater it to more modern audiences. And it was exciting, and it was really hard for them to do that without having to tie too much into like a Star Wars kind of territory and some of the other, like Battlestar Galactica and stuff like that. And they did their own thing with it, and it was really exciting, and it made me fall in love with Star Trek all over again. But I digress. The new teaser trailer for No Way Home Spider-Man, the newest installment, coming out, supposed to be holiday season this year, and I'm really excited to see it, because for some reason the MCU has been trying to gear towards more episodic stuff on Netflix and things like that, or Disney Plus, and I'm not really on board with that. I'm used to seeing the MCU stuff in those movies in the movie theater. So although there's articles out there saying that it's confirmed that at the very least Tobey Maguire will be in the new movie, at the very least having a cameo. They've been talking about Andrew Garfield showing up too, and those have been in the rumor mill on the forums for a while now. But at the very end, if you did take a chance to watch a teaser trailer and you hear Alfred just, "Hello, Peter." That just gave me, and of course you see one of his octopus arms come out, and it's the same design that was in the Sam Raimi films, and that's what's even more exciting. When it comes out, you could see it. It looks just like it did in the Sam Raimi films, and just like the grenade, one of Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin grenades, showed up in the trailer, and that's even more exciting. It would be cool and amazing, as exciting as it would be to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield come back and reprise their roles as the other universe Spider-Man. It would be even more exciting to see Willem Dafoe come back as a Green Goblin, and now it's confirmed that we're going to have, Alfred Molina is going to be coming back and reprising Doc Ock, and of course he's worried. That was 17 years ago, and of course Alfred's worried that he doesn't have the physicality that he had back then and things like that. But then he remembered that really in that movie the arms did all the work, so he just sold the personality, and he did such an amazing job at it. So of course I was excited to hear that he was coming back, and the more I read up on this, the more exciting it gets. So Spider-Man No Way Home coming out this holiday season. Keep an eye out for it. Definitely go see it. I can't wait to see it, and I really want to get back to the theater and see these MCU films, because I'm I'm tired of the idea that they're going to try to extend these movies and the universe out through episodes and like TV series and stuff. Like I really want to see. I was excited to see the new Captain America and how that would tie in. But then they made it a Netflix series or a Disney Plus series or whatever it was. And that just kind of like, I don't know why, but that just kind of killed the idea for me. So I unfortunately have yet to see that. But I'll make it a point to see. I know they've also been talks that they're going to bring out an actual film with the new with the new Captain America and everything. So that's going to be exciting too. He's finally going to get his own standalone film. Kind of. He's still going to be playing alongside the Winter Soldier, from what I can tell. But it's a lot better because right now Tom Holland, if I remember correctly, this is his fourth Spider-Man film. So I'm definitely excited for it. If it's just even a small little cameo from Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, maybe even Kirsten Dunst. I don't know. Just bringing those memories back, and it's because I grew up watching the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, and those were just amazing, and it was a huge turn with superhero movies and everything. So it's really exciting to see that they're bringing the multiverse in and everything. They're just in the teaser, everything they're doing with it. So here's hoping for Willem Dafoe. Here's hoping for Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Here's hoping for maybe even Kirsten Dunst. We'll see how it goes. We've already confirmed Alfred Molina is going to be in there. But seeing the other, seeing those other people, those other actors come in and just maybe even have a small role. It looks like Alfred's going to have a pretty big role in this new movie as like the main villain. We could pass on the Sandman. We're good on that. Maybe eventually they can tie in Venom. We'll see how the universe works around. I believe Venom is still has like rights with Sony Entertainment, so it might be a while before we do that. But I do know that basically the holding rights for some of these characters that were in the Spider-Man universe, and it's also was their struggle with utilizing the X-Men to the full extent in the MCU with these new movies. The cinematic universe was because certain rights that were held by either Warner Brothers or Sony Entertainment and things like that. So finally, now that those contracts are coming to their end, we can hopefully see some more inclusiveness here. And because Endgame is already done, and Iron Man's gone, and Captain America's gone, and all this stuff, and we're finally moving forward into the next phase of the MCU here. The biggest thing, unfortunately, the biggest thing they're going to have to do is sell these movies on nostalgia, by putting Tobey Maguire and Alfred Molina and maybe even Willem Dafoe in these movies. So keep an eye out for it. I'm gonna stop beating this dead horse. Holiday season, Spider-Man, No Way Home. It's gonna be exciting. It looks like the premise of it is gonna be a matter of everybody finds out that Tom Holland or Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and now he's struggling with trying to hide that. And it's a whole nother level. And of course, he's got to make the big decision because he only has two choices. Either everybody forgets that he's Spider-Man, or everybody knows that he's Spider-Man. Those are his only choices. And of course, Doctor Strange is in it too. Doctor Strange, as usual, has got an amazing presence on any screen he's on. And Benedict Cumberbatch is just an amazing actor on any movie he plays. I mean, but speaking of the Star Trek films, he played Khan in the new Star Trek films, and I loved it. So keep an eye out for that. Anyway, we're gonna stop out. We'll have another quick message, and then we'll be right back after this. Okay, so welcome back. There's so much to cover that we've been going over, especially with the group and some of the conversations we have during the stream that bring up a lot of these upcoming games and some of the issues that we had. We've covered, we've talked about things about the whole issue and the controversy, if you will, over what was supposed to be the flagship release game for the Xbox Series X and S, Halo. We'll cover that on the next episode, most likely, and some of the issues that are going on with that, because thankfully, as far as me covering it, they've pushed it out even further, because they can't just... 343 has been destroying the Halo series, and they're not getting any better. So I have plenty of time to cover that because they keep pushing out the release date. Now, one thing I do want to cover is and some of the issues that have been coming out with this new Diablo release. Now, Diablo 2 was arguably one of the more exciting installments in the Diablo series. Diablo 1 came out and it was a huge hit. Blizzard just blew out the water with that. And then they had that little expansion, Hellfire, which was fun. But it came with a new character called the monk. But then the other characters were just different like stats and builds on the same characters. So it wasn't that great. So Diablo 2 came out and they made it a lot better. You started out with 5 characters instead of the 3 or 4 if you count Hellfire with the monk. But then they had a couple of the characters come out in Hellfire that were just the same skin as like the warrior or the rogue, but they just had different skill sets, which back then might have been exciting, but looking back on it now was kind of insulting, really. But now we have Diablo 2 Resurrected came out. It is currently in closed beta. You can watch plenty of Twitch streamers on there. Unfortunately, those who are in the older community, those who have played the game, who grew up playing the original Diablo series, especially Diablo 2, we were left out of the beta. They seemed, when it came to choosing the people for the beta, they seemed to kind of gear more towards the younger demographic, if you will, that didn't really grow up playing Diablo 2. So that was, there's plenty of theories about why they did that. And a lot of it might come down because when Diablo 2 came out, if there were bugs, if there was anything wrong with it, especially with them kind of updating and converting it to, modern graphics and stuff like that, there might have been issues with it, obviously. And those of us who grew up playing the original Diablo 2 would have had more to say about it. Thankfully, it's a lot easier to take part in these betas because we got Twitch and we got YouTube and stuff like that. So instead of actually typing out a report and submitting this bug and that bug and this happened, whatever, you record the entire session, 3-4 hours if you want. And if they really want to see the bugs and what happened, and a lot of these betas, they'll want the players to, okay, how do you recreate this bug so we can figure out how to fix it and where the coding issue starts. But now they can just watch over the stream, and that's all they need out there. So it's a good tool to use. But it's still almost, it's insulting and kind of messed up that they took the younger crowd that in some cases, I mean, what the original Diablo 2 came out in June 29th, 2000 was the release of the original Diablo 2. And a lot of these people that are playing it right now weren't even alive at that point, So you're finding streamers and content creators and just regular closed beta testers who weren't even alive when, I mean, in some of these cases, like when this game came out, their parents were in high school. Or their parents were in college, whatever. Or either way, they weren't even a thought. So that was kind of a kick in the rear at that, because a lot of us who grew up playing Diablo 2 were excited to play Diablo 2 Resurrected. I'm still vaguely familiar with the story, but it's been so long since I played it and played through it, and plus I was so young when I played it that I didn't really grasp the entire game when I was there. I was just having fun hacking and slashing with my friends on BattleNet or over LAN with my dad and my brother and all them. So that's something that kind of irks me a little bit. So that being said, Diablo 2 Resurrected is currently in closed beta, and it's set to release next month, September 23rd, I believe was the So September 23rd right now is the release date for that one. So keep in mind, we've seen some of the plays at like E3 and some of the playthroughs with the developers. And it's really cool. You can actually switch between the original artwork and stuff with the original Diablo 2 when it came back. 21 years ago? A little over 21 years ago now. And it's exciting because a game like that still holds so much power. So much excitement behind it. Because Diablo 2 was so revolutionary. Diablo 1 at least got their name on the map, but Blizzard still had like the Warcraft, the RTS Warcraft series, and then StarCraft, and then Diablo 2 came out, and it was just this whole big thing. Diablo 3 had a good following, but for me, Diablo 3 just didn't have the same effect. I felt like they got pretty lazy with Diablo 3. So, and I feel like a lot of it had something to do with just how successful their World of Warcraft MMO was, because even to this day, World of Warcraft is like the gold standard for MMOs. So It seems like Blizzard is reaching way back into the vault and kind of working with what they had in the past. So of course they released World of Warcraft Classic, and now they're releasing Diablo 2 Resurrected. And that's not to say that it's not a good thing. I mean, obviously a lot of work went into recreating Diablo 2, rebuilding it from the ground up with these more updated graphics, but still keeping that classic hack and slash kind of feel to it. And I think the reason why they did that is because Diablo 3 was exciting in its own sense because it was a new Diablo installment, but it just didn't have that same effect for me, But if you look at Diablo 2, if you look in the Twitch streams where they're actually playing, the ones where they're playing with the actual modern updated graphics, it looks a lot like the Diablo 4 that's coming out. So we're gonna skip that intro. So Diablo 4, if you just look at some of the stills and some of the frames on there, you have a few classics coming. Of course, you're gonna have the Barbarian. It's always a classic. They're bringing the Druid back in Diablo 4. There is Sorceress, and of course the Rogue is the newest class that they released there. So the Rogue, you have the Rogue that was in the original Diablo, and that was very versatile. Obviously, a ranged range attack, and they all have their own backstories. Of course, the Barbarian is that's a staple pretty much. They pretty much got rid of the warrior from the original Diablo and put the Barbarian in his place instead. I'm surprised they didn't bring the Paladin back. They do have the Sorceress. So in Diablo 3, they had these crazy classes like the Witch Doctor and stuff like that, and they were just like I think that's a lot of it. What kind of ruined it for me was the character progression and the character builds and just the feeling and the ideas behind the characters were just. It took away from the simplicity that made Diablo so fun. So thankfully, looking at Diablo 4, we're going into the basics, the bare bones, the basic characters that we had when Diablo that made Diablo 2 so successful, and of course Diablo 1 with the Rogue. But we have the Barbarian, strength build. Obviously, most likely gonna have yells and war cries and stuff and buffs and debuffs. The Sorceress. We could look deeper into these. We might cover these more in depth later on, but it's already showing stills where she's shooting a blizzard attack, lightning, fire, the basic same as a sorceress was back then. You have your 3 different elements that you can play with, and then of course you have the Rogue, the normal. She's going to be obviously a ranged, using bow and arrow, things like that. It might come down to having a more close quarter attacks if you need to. I'd imagine they probably add something that in there just in case you get overwhelmed by mobs. And of course the Druid. Now for me, the Druid was the most exciting part of Diablo 2 when they brought in the expansion to it, the Lord of Destruction expansion, and I absolutely love, because I played the Necromancer on the original Diablo 2 when it first came out, and for me it was exciting because he was a summoner, and that wasn't something you saw in a lot of games at the time. It was in a few games here and there, but more like low key games that really didn't get the spotlight. But then but when they brought out the Lord of Destruction expansion, they brought the Druid out, and the Assassin was kind of cool, but she was kind of hit or miss. She was more like a close quarter, dumbed down version of the Rogue. There was or the Amazon or something like that. But the Druid, I'd say these 4 classes they're bringing in for Diablo 4 are probably the 4 most successful classes. If you ever played, BattleNet on Diablo 2, the Sorceress was always one of the OP ones. She always fell victim to a lot of meta builds. And if you've watched me play, whether it's YouTube or Twitch or in another person's stream, I am not a fan of meta. So when it comes to games like this, I don't really enjoy a lot of PvP, because when you do PvP, you're stuck having to go meta. You're stuck having to go with that build that someone put on a forum that's the most successful or the most powerful for this, that. And the Sorceress tends to be one of the more prevalent to fall victim to that kind of mentality. It either has to be a fire sorceress or an ice sorceress or a lightning sorceress. You can't have a mix of them all. But when you're playing regular PvE with all your friends and whatnot, or just playing single player, it's fun to have that mix of skills, you know, like, and hopefully they might have done something with that to where you could benefit from having a little bit of everything, you know. With a sorceress, I started to appreciate like more status effect attacks in a lot of other games, not just Diablo, obviously, but being able to like shock, paralyze, slow down your enemies, burn your enemies, or poison them, or whatever it might be. So that was I'm hoping they did something with the sorcerers to kind of avoid that. Anyway, going back, so we have, if we look at some of the graphics and the gameplay of Diablo 4, it looks, when I first saw it, this was before I really even looked into Diablo 2 Resurrected. But as I looked at it, Diablo 2 Resurrected has two different modes. You can play the classic graphical mode, or you can play the new updated, 4K graphics, 3D, the whole 9 yards. The whole world is completely redone from the ground up. And it's a little, I'm seeing some of the cutscenes here, and the things are kind of showing. It's a little cartoony, but I think it's because this time around they're definitely avoiding the more high graphical cutscenes. Instead, they're trying to push the whole similarity where there's not a lot of difference between, or any difference between, the character you actually play through all these levels and the character that's in the cutscene. So hopefully it's a more smooth transition. Whereas back then, nowadays they have much better graphics and capabilities to be able to do stuff like that. Whereas back then they didn't, obviously. You can go back and watch the original cinematics from the very first Diablo and kind of see just how crazy they looked. When back then you were just blown away by how amazing it was. But now it's just kind of, you look back on it now and it's like, oh my gosh, and it's really a testament to how far games have come. Whereas back then we were more excited about even what at the time seemed like huge jumps in graphics. But nowadays, if like the graphics are so important in some of these games that it's almost insulting. But the gameplay, it looks pretty fun. It looks amazing. The 3D worlds, they've done really good with Diablo 4, and of course Diablo 2. If you've seen some of the streams, and Diablo 4 and the new updated Diablo 2 look very similar, and it looks amazing, honestly. It seems like they definitely kept the same classic play style that made Diablo 2 so fun. It's just a simple run around, hack and slash, click and slash kind of gameplay. And they're avoiding the overcomplication that made Diablo 3 such a struggle to kind of sell, or push across, if you will. You can go to diablo4.blizzard.com. That's where I'm seeing a lot of these. I'm seeing all these cinematics. Of course, it's got all the news on there, and then you can look up and keep an eye out for the release date, and eventually they'll have a pre-order up there. Like I said, the Diablo 2 Resurrected closed betas are they were very selective, and it seemed like they got really close on selecting some more of the younger community that don't have experience playing the original Diablo 2. And if they do, it was because they maybe their parents had like a copy sitting somewhere as they were growing up and they played with it. But a lot of these people weren't really around when the game first released. I remember very clearly when my dad we were at Best Buy, and I was still in the van, of course, and my dad comes out of Best Buy and just kind of chilling there. We already played the first Diablo day in and day out. We over LAN. We had like 3 computers, an old Packard Bell and stuff like that sitting around, and we all played the first Diablo 1. Me and my dad more prevalently, but eventually sometimes my brother and my sister would jump in there and they play with us too. And we were so happy and had so much fun with the first Diablo that when my dad came out of Best Buy and he sits in the front seat of the van and he pulls it out of the bag just kind of nonchalantly, like, oh, yeah, and just looks at it. And as soon as I saw it in his hand, he had the Diablo 2 box set, and it just blew me away. Like, I was so excited. And then we played that game. I can't remember. We lost so much time playing the game, but I had so much fun. So, of course, I'm excited for Diablo 2 Resurrected and Diablo 4. Now that the more I look at Diablo 4 and how it looks, it's so great. Now, with the way Diablo 3 went is the reason why I went more towards like Path of Exile, because Diablo 3 just kind of ruined it for me. They tried really hard with it. They took away the fun of the simplicity of the gameplay of the Diablo series, and I think they just went too far with it. And now, even to this day, you could see just how in depth it is, with the microtransactions. They got little pets and costume pieces and things like that. But just looking at the gameplay and the way Diablo 4 looks, they're going back to what made Diablo 2 and the original Diablo series so fun and just exciting and kept you going. And the replayability was always there. But they're not trying too hard anymore. There's nothing wrong with being innovative in games, obviously. I mean, if you want to talk about game innovation and storyline and stuff like that, obviously Blizzard has set so many standards in the industry when it comes to innovation, just how games should be made. I mean, just look at modern RTSs. Obviously, look at MMOs, World of Warcraft, and then of course look at Diablo. There's a lot of games that are. There was obviously games out there that were like Diablo that came before Diablo, but there was just a certain magic about it that really just shot Blizzard up to the top. And now Blizzard is more of a cult classic kind of developer. But they can still push out like this, even after the disappointment to me that Diablo 3 turned out to be. They announced Diablo 4, and immediately I'm looking it up and checking it out. And I think the reason why they released Diablo 2 Resurrected along with Diablo 4 is because visually the games look so similar. And they understand and they recognize that what made Diablo 2 so successful. So that's why I'm excited and happy for Diablo 4 to come out. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait to get my hands on it, honestly. I can't wait to play Diablo 2 Resurrected. From what I understand, Diablo 2 Resurrected is going to be up to 8 players. It should be cross-play. And it should be released on consoles as well. If we go to here, so we're seeing, obviously, Resurrected. So it's saying Diablo 4 quarterly update. I'm trying to look. We're to confirm Diablo 2 Resurrected is slotted to come out September 23rd. So we're about a month away from that now. And for Diablo 4, I don't know if they've actually put any real release date on there. It doesn't look like it, but that's something that we're definitely going to keep an eye on, and I can't wait for it. Even Diablo 2 Resurrected, the fact that that's going to be crossplay, and it's going to have up to 8 players in a session. For me, with games like this, I prefer to play them on PC. And of course, that doesn't mean obviously consoles come a long way since way back in those places. In 2000, we had, I think the PS2 was on its way out, and we just got the first Xbox, so there wasn't so much we could do with that one. But consoles come a long way, and of course, PC is always constantly improving and upgrading and just getting better and better and better. So, that being said, Diablo 2 Resurrected is going to come out. You can expect me to be streaming that one. It's a lot easier for me to stream on PC than it is on my Xbox. And of course, my microphone boom arm is still, I still haven't got a new one in. So that it makes it even more exciting because I can actually stream this and be able to record my voice and everything. So keep an eye out for that. September 23rd, I'm going to try to get it on the day of release. And we'll be playing some Diablo 2 Resurrected, most likely with Mafu and the group, where we've already been discussing about getting that going. So that being said, I've already drugged this segment on longer than it has to go. Diablo 2 Resurrected coming out September 23rd, and more updates on Diablo 4 coming out here soon. Definitely check it out. I'm excited for it. You should be excited for it. Yeah, we'll get another quick message here, and then we'll be right back. Okay, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you for joining me. We've been, so far, I've been pretty excited. It's been pretty good. We've been keeping up with the Wednesday releases. This is what I originally wanted when we first started this podcast years ago, and I'm doing pretty good about keeping up with it on these releases. So 8 p.m. Mountain Time every Wednesday, we're going to be releasing an episode here, and right now we've got a lot of good content that we can update. Like I said, we're gonna get into the controversy with the Halo stuff. We talked about it in a previous episode, and there's still more going on about the Halo release with 343 Studios. That's just been, it's not getting any better. I'm not gonna say we should give up on Halo because it's a very iconic series and something that's near and dear to my heart growing up. So we'll be covering that as well. Once again, make sure you keep an eye out to get the new Spider-Man film coming to theaters this holiday season. A lot of cameos coming in. The multiverse is going to be introduced, which is something we've all been wanting from the new Spider-Man and the MCU for a while now. And of course, Diablo 2 Resurrected coming out September 23rd, and Diablo 4 is going to be coming up eventually. I didn't find anything on an official release date, but with any luck, of course, Diablo 2 Resurrected will keep us busy enough for now until we get some better news with Diablo 4 and when it comes out. And just looking at it, it looks like it's going to play a lot like Diablo 2. It's going to look a lot like Diablo 2, obviously with the more updated graphics, and it just looks amazing. It looks fun, and it's definitely going to be, I can't say it's definitely going to be, but it looks like it's going to be a saving grace after what happened with Diablo 3. So that being said, thank you for joining me. If you liked what you heard, please make sure subscribe, share it with your friends and family, spread it around. If you like what I'm doing here, please support the channel. It's always gonna support the podcast. It's always gonna help us out, and it's only gonna make us make this better here. And it's always greatly appreciated. Once again, this is K9 Party. Thank you for joining us on K9 Party and Friends, and we will see you next week.